Welcome to Science Streams. If you are interested in all things science in a fun, wholesome environment, you are in the right place. The science team is dedicated to making science more accessible to our entire community. We do a variety of interactive science streams, including microscopy of ancient amber with insects. If you've ever wanted to have a fun space to nerd out, now is your chance. We stream daily science content on Twitch. Consider hitting the follow button to join our colony and our mission in science for all.
This is a live sample. I have the sample in front of me. I'm putting it under the microscope. It's 30 million year old amber with an insect in it. Tell me if this is cool. 30 million years old, preserved in amber. Here is our little insect. I think this is a beautiful sample. It's one of my favorites. We have so there's very few places in the world that you can legally get these samples. We have a vendor. He has legal import and export permits. And because we're educators and we donate these samples to schools, we get them at a highly discounted rate. He doesn't identify what they are. Instead, he just sends them out like blank. Like, here you go. Here's this bag full of samples. They're guaranteed all to have insects in them. And then on Mondays, we put those mystery samples underneath the microscope and we identify them together as a chat. We look at the different features. We look at the body parts, the segments. We zoom in and out. We look at it at different angles and we identify the insects. When we do the classroom visits, kiddos get those samples. And it's cool because chat identified them. So we actually have this direct connection between chat, science streams, and like active outreach directly to schools, which I think is really neat. How does the overall size compare? That's a good question, Cliff. Let's take a look at the size and see if this article mentions the size of the cicada killer wasp. It is 1.5 to 2 inches long. And our sample, that's a very good point, Cliff. Our sample is 0.5 centimeter. 1/2 centimeter. So we are much, much smaller than the expected one. With that information, we might be looking at a relative, but we need to, as Cliff mentioned, a little cautious in terms of the size difference. It could be an ancestor. It might not be a parasitic wasp because that cloud, I have a sneaking suspicion, is pollen, which would suggest this is a pollinator. Again, we're making connections based on proximity to things, but given how close the pollen sample is, you may very well predict that it was actually carrying pollen at the time that it was caught. So it at least is a nectar drinker, if not an intentional pollinator where it's, harvesting honey, but just visiting different flowers to allow it to, get its nectar source, which I think is really cool. Amber fossils are really, really beautiful, Chris, and especially it's one of those things where if you get a piece of amber with something in it, I feel like without a microscope, you lose most of the beauty of the sample, where you might be looking at it, but you don't actually see the extra detail and beauty of it. And so it's just a little something extra that I think is important to look out for. All right, so here we go. We got something from RPG that's a breakdown of yellow stripy things, which I actually really, really like this particular tool RPG sent. A second cicada picture. Where did you send it, Phelan? On the Discord? This looks super, super similar to our sample, though, right? I mean, even the coloration looks similar. Given the size, that length, it's still bigger, but I wonder if it's a similar, it's just a relative. That's what I think we're looking at. I do want to see if we know anything about the cicada killer in terms of if they get nectar. Most wasps, even if they are injecting into different organisms as a host, will still drink nectar and inadvertently be pollinators. Feline, I'm very much on board with what you're saying, because morphologically it's very, very on point and how it looks. The only difference is our size. Let's match up the antennae as well, and let's at least try to get a close match of the antennae. How long do we how long do we think the sample is? Maybe we can see the sample potentially fall in the range. You mean how large? So it is about half a centimeter feline. About half. Well, no, sorry. Double check. I think that's what we said earlier. Half a centimeter. If I stretch it out, like extra, like the tip of the maybe 3/4 of a centimeter. This is me trying to hold it and to get like a nice zoom in of the antennae. I think we'll need to look at the other side for the antennae, but it is also looking similar to the wasp that we were looking at earlier because there's two segmentations, it looks like, for the antenna and its start point, which we've seen as a variety, let's say, right? So like there's some wasps that we've looked at that have bifurcated antenna, so it's one piece that comes out and then splits apart. And then we've also had the two different ones come out. And so this one, when looking at our reference that we suspect might be, has two nubs that then come out. And that I think is what we're seeing here as well. A really nice look at the eye here. It's not coming through as... Oh, there we go. We're blowing out the background a little bit, meaning that it's very, very white, but we can see a lot of the structure with this much brightness. Look at the legs. It seems like cicada killer females have special tribal spurs. Yes. You got it, Cliff. Which leg? One, and looks like there's two here. The length is the only thing that doesn't fit the modern profile. The smallest runs about 1 inch long. This is far back as we think it could be this. Oh, for sure, feline. I'm liking that. What is the family feline? If you by chance know, because that would be a cool thing to be able to write on this piece. Actually, get that information. So let's quickly look at this too that we suspect might be pollen. And again, part of why I had a sneaking suspicion is, do you guys see the discoloration between the 2 points? So like right here, there's a line, and on that, like in between, up and down on the line is where the pollen's actually located. So that's why I have a sneaking suspicion that that's what this is. Because of the discolor, and then all these granules in here, and it's only localized to this region, like immediately surrounding the wasp. Okay, hold on. Let me write it down, Miss Fancy. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that is in fact what this is. Crabronidae.
Thanks for watching SciAnts Media, and be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help our channel grow and support our science outreach and education goals. We can be found on Twitch most days of the week, and be sure to join us here for our next video. Thanks again, and stay curious, everyone.